Want to plan your next fishing trip without the hassle? FishingBooker.com is the best way to find and book a fishing charter anywhere in the world. Whether you're chasing trophy fish or just looking for a family day on the water, Fishing Booker makes it simple, fast, and secure. With thousands of experienced guides, verified reviews, and 24/7 customer support, Fishing Booker takes the guesswork out of planning. Visit FishingBooker.com and book your trip today. Fishing Booker. Fishing trips made easy.
Wayne Van Den Bergh is the owner-operator of Nyamazana Safaris that operates in Zimbabwe. And he's a pretty unique operator in that he doesn't own land, he doesn't have these big hunting concessions that have big fences around them. Rather, he works with rural development councils, RDCs, in open areas that have wildlife, humans, and cattle all interacting with one another. And a lot of his business comes from dealing with problem elephants. And so we got a bunch of videos from Wayne and his team about an elephant that was shot and how it got distributed to the community. And I wanted to have a specific conversation about that situation, what it looks like on the ground, who is it benefiting, why does it happen, all of the details, because naturally, any sort of elephant hunt is probably one of the most controversial, quote-unquote, hunts in the world. And Wayne is interacting with elephants and people all the time. So I wanted to have him on and have a really cool conversation about the reality.
So there's a reason why I started Blood Origins. And that reason is simple. Is that I wanted to convey the truth about hunting.
It brings awareness to non-hunters that it's more than just killing animals.
How do I start it? Brittany.
My name is...
Does my hair look okay?
It's fantastic.
My name is Mike Axelrod.
Start again.
Yeah, I hated it too.
Braxton, you said something in the car to me. You said that you were living on borrowed time.
There's a perception around who hunters are, what we're supposed to be, and a feminist that works for a non-profit that is a hunter that has only eaten wild game for the last 20 years is likely not the thing that people think about when it comes to a hunter.
Yeah, we're good. Sorry, I'm a little late. I had to go get a second cup of coffee. It's what I love about this job, Wayne, is that I just got off a podcast talking about wetland restoration in Finland.
Okay.
For duck hunting.
Yeah.
And so that took my first cup of coffee. And so my second cup of coffee is with you. And, I don't know you from a bar of soap. You called me when I was in the middle of Spain saying, hey, I don't know who you are, but tell me what you want. And I explained a little bit on the side of the mountain, crouching behind a Land Rover. You didn't realize I was crouching behind a Land Rover to try and get out the wind.
No.
Explain who I was and what Blood Origins does. And then yesterday, I actually got to know you through videos that you had sent.
Okay.
And got to know the people that you interact with and the communities that you benefit. And I find it extremely... I'm in a fortunate position to be able to have these conversations and to be able to showcase the good work that hunting and hunters are doing everywhere in the world. You're in a specific little spot in Zimbabwe. Let me ask this question, Wayne, before I introduce you and maybe lead you down a rabbit hole. Why do you think the stuff that I put together yesterday, why do you think we haven't shown more of that?
So I do see it, maybe not as much as we should see it, but I do see some of that stuff out there. And why we don't show more of it, maybe it's because people think they might be offending people. I don't know. I mean, yeah. But I do see it, where people do make a point of showing what happens, to elephants that are shot in communities. but maybe not enough of it.
Well, everyone just heard you say elephants shot in communities and were like, "Holy smokes! What kind of podcast conversation are we about to?" Wayne Van Den Bergh, welcome to the Blood Origins podcast. I'm truly humbled to have you here.
Thank you for the invite, and I hope that I can contribute something.
Oh, 100%. Wayne, do you want to give a little bit of background to who you are, what you do, where you work?
All right, so I'm born and bred Zimbabwean, probably, third generation at least, maybe fourth. I've been a PH since I was 19. That's the only trade that I have, official trade. Otherwise, I'm a bush mechanic and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, do what I have to do. So in my career, I've been a PH, and then in 1998, I became an operator PH, and I'm still an operator PH, and I've been doing this for a long time. I don't have any big concession, so I work basically with communities like RDCs, campfire areas, and other small areas where individual farms will be amalgamated together, whether it's for leopard or elephant. I have these little places where most people don't actually want to operate because it's not, how can I say it? It's not something that they want to deal with. I deal with a lot of individuals, whether it's crawl heads, chief, councils. There's different backgrounds to every individual, and they all have their own agendas and opinions and wants and demands, for a better word. So it is a bit of a toil working with these guys.
Wayne,
But
explain to people who may not understand what an operator is.
okay, so an operator is someone that, in my position, I have to negotiate and make agreements with different individuals where there might be available quota to hunt. And then I have to oversee either building a camp or having a camp renovated. And I've got staff that work for me. So I have a small fleet of vehicles. I've got quite a bit of staff that, help me run my operation. I have a small team of guys that have been with me. Some of my guys now, one tracker has been with me nearly 20 years. Just gives you an idea of, our partnership. Because I don't do it all on my own. I have guys that work with me that make it happen. But I oversee, me and my wife does the admin. Fortunately, I have someone that does the paperwork, and there's quite a lot involved with regards to getting quotas and permits. And we attend quota meetings every year. We submit where we can some kind of information that our national parks require from us, an idea of populations, in different areas. And we try and improve on the area by anti-poaching it, by employing locals where we can, by maintaining roads. Quite a few of our clients will come out and will visit schools and donate something to the schools, whether it's pencils or footballs or stationery of some sort. And some guys bring out SCI bags of, clothing, which all goes to the communities. So yeah, an operator, we kind of look over all of that stuff and handle it. I mean, there's a lot involved. It's just not jumping in a vehicle and going to go shoot something. I mean, there's a lot of paperwork, administration involved, and and a lot of meetings and negotiations quite often with different communities, trying to get things done and hopefully to make sense to them. So when I started with some of these areas, I did a lot of problem animal control, PAC work, which that was required. These elephants would cause havoc in their fields and destroy their crops in one night, and other damages. So I used to do a lot of elephant PAC on my own free time, and I didn't see the reason or the purpose of just shooting an elephant. Yes, the villagers got the meat and the council got the skin and the ivory, but there was nothing else. The problem was solved. So I convinced the council and national parks to give us huntable quota in these areas. whereby not the elephant didn't just die for what it was doing and people got meat, but there was actually a revenue generated out of that elephant, which could go a lot further in benefiting the community. So from one elephant being put on quota, now some of these areas have got 3 to 4 elephant a year. And if we're lucky enough to utilize all those elephants, that community gains that trophy fee, which can be anywhere from $8,000 to $10,000 per animal. And that goes to the community or the council. And then they use it however they feel, whether it's in a school or a clinic or fixing a bridge or maintaining a road. That's what they do.
Wayne, are you saying that 100% of the trophy fee for your clients goes to the communities in Zimbabwe?
At times, 100% does. It just depends because I work with a variety of areas. Some areas might want $8,000 an elephant. Some areas might want 7 or 10. So if I sell a hunt, I normally sell the trophy fee at the maximum amount that I'm required to sell it for or get, to pay. So if I hunted, say the trophy fee, the maximum is 8,000, like it is this year, and I have other elephants that I can get for 7,000, I'll still sell it to the client for 8 and make $1,000 to cover my fuel. But if I have to shoot it in an area where it's 8, then 100% goes to that area.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Wayne, what would you say to someone who is hearing you, and we have a lot of non-hunters that listen to this podcast, and because this isn't a podcast around elephants, I'm sure we'll have a bunch of anti-hunters that listen to us too. What would you say to them when they say, well, geez, Wayne, you're killing off all the elephants, 3, 4, 5, 6 elephants a year. You're just decimating the population.
No, very far from that. The elephant population, its general knowledge and should be common knowledge, has increased dramatically since the late 80s, because we used to cull the elephants here when we didn't have as many people on the ground, and we recognized back then that the elephant population was too many for this country. And in a nutshell, elephants, are not doing themselves a favor by overpopulating. They eating and destroying a lot of habitat, which they would otherwise benefit from. So, and a lot of other animals are affected by this. So where you get a big amount of elephants or a large amount, and they destroy that ecosystem in that area, you affect not only the elephants themselves, but other small animals that depend on some of the habitat that was there that the elephants may have taken care of, as far as like bushbucks and your small duikers and maybe even birds in that area, depending on what trees are pushed over and how much of the food that's been taken by the elephants. So you got to balance that ecosystem, otherwise too many is just not good. It's a proven fact. If you go to Botswana, just have a look at Botswana and see the devastation there. I mean, it's just it's horrific, the amount of devastation.
The area that you've been working in with these, you called them RDCs. What does RDC stand for?
Rural District Council.
Rural District Council. You've been working in the same rural district councils for quite some time?
15 plus years, yeah.
Have you, in those 15 plus years, I'll ask a series of questions. Have you seen an increase in elephant numbers in those areas?
Yes, definitely. Every year it's increasing. I mean, every year there is reports of human and wildlife conflict, and quite often it's elephants that are, unfortunately, the problem behind this, where someone is coming into contact with an elephant, from these fields, walking between villages at night, or a rampant elephant that's maybe carrying a snare or a bullet hole from somewhere else. But yeah, people get killed every year by elephants.
Wayne, have you, in the 15 years, and maybe just think of an area, one specific RDC, or you could think of them, cumulatively, have you seen changes in the habitat because of the changes in the elephant population?
I would say that in these areas, they've increased in their livestock population, cattle and donkeys and goats and people. So those communities have grown. So the elephants their natural habitat has shrunk. So there will be a bit of a overlap of where they can move, especially during the wet season and the cropping season when elephants are moving out. So they come and go periodically in these areas. They're not there all the time. They're migratory, for a better word. But they come in droves, depending on the season. If it's a good rainy season and there's a lot of crops and a lot of water everywhere, your elephant numbers will increase, definitely.
Wayne, are you seeing places within these RDCs that over the course of 15 years, 20 years, the chiefs, the council leaders, are certain areas saying, wow, we see the benefit of hunting and are valuing the wildlife more, i.e. there's more wildlife on the landscape because they see more revenue, or they just don't care, but what's the situation?
For the most part, some people, when I say some people, they do understand the revenue benefit, and those that are educated and have gone to school, because the RDCs, they're quite complex. They don't just manage wildlife. They do roads, clinics, schools, land taxes, and everything like that. Development in the area. I mean, specifically like Kusile, there's even a university in the area. It's quite a big area. But as far as the people benefiting from the animals, it's a small percentage, but it's an important percentage because they are taught that the animals have a value, and and they need to be respected for that purpose. And there are anti-poaching, programs, and there is an awareness on that as far as poachers. They're not tolerated, and there are penalties for poaching. And if any animals are a problem, they do report it. And they hope for guys like myself on the ground to go and attend to it, whether it's an elephant, a lion, a hyena, hippo, a crocodile, or even a leopard at times. These things always happen. There's always an interaction somewhere in these communities. But I know from speaking to some villagers, their cattle are prize compared to an elephant. They would rather no elephants be there or no lions be there if they had that choice. But they are tolerated because a revenue is derived from those animals when hunted with a foreign client, and they know that the benefits will help them ultimately, whether it's compensation for their crops or for their livestock that was eaten, or their children might get another classroom or something like that. They do understand that point. But for most of those peasant villages, if for a better word, they would rather not have any animals as far as wild animals concerned, because they just feel that they're a nuisance to them, in their daily day of survival there.
Wayne, I know this is a laughable question, but I have to ask it. I'm assuming you're not hearing any sentiment out of these rural villages about we don't like hunting.
No, none of them will say that. They obviously all like the benefits of hunting. They do get all the protein from an elephant, like 90+%. The villages, wherever the elephant is taken, if you're within 10 kilometers or more, bush telegraph, whether it used to be drums, it's now a cell phone, they will come with buckets and bags, and they will all participate in getting a piece of meat for their home. So it's totally 100% utilized. There isn't any waste. Not even a bone is left behind. They utilize everything.
It's funny, and I just wrote it down because it's one of the things that I'm keen on getting from you and others. This idea of nothing being left. How do we prove that, Wayne? I know how to prove it.
That everything gets used.
Mm.
Oh, well, I've sent you some video footage of it, but I don't hang around there for 4 days, to see them utilizing it. But trust me, when you visit some of the villages a day or two afterwards, you see they strip the meat into strips and then they sun dry it so that they can, store it, because they don't have freezer facilities. So they're
Mhm.
sun-dried into what we call biltong, jerky, dry meat, and then they can, use it over a period of several months. Yeah.
Wayne, you obviously you operate in a very different, unique environment than your typical. I wouldn't say typical, but the probably the more well-known hunting method, which is like this bastion protectionist type method, right? You put a big fence around a property, you patrol the property, you hunt inside the property. You certainly are not hunting in that world, right?
Yeah, no, there's no fences. It's all open, It's all open, free range. There's no fences at all. Yeah.
And and you pretty much there's an interaction between wildlife, cattle, and people, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, they
Are
do.
you seeing that is possible? And that's probably again a stupid question. I'm sorry, because it's obviously possible because you live it and you deal with it and you have clients come in every single day.
No, it is. I mean, the people do interact with the animals. I mean, when they're herding their cattle, into the field, they go and collect their cattle every evening. And they're aware of where the elephants may be. They keep their distance. They don't want to, necessarily make contact with the elephants. And the elephants, vice versa, they hear the bells and they hear the people talking and the guys cracking their whip. So they've learned to coexist, but maybe not all together in one spot, but they do give each other, a margin of space. And definitely you do see it.
Wayne, do you think it's the future of wildlife conservation in Africa, given what you've seen over the last 15 years? Population growth, obviously investment in cattle.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I don't see a bright future, if the population growth of humans continue on their
Mm,
increase. Because these animals are getting smaller and smaller, as far as the ranges go. They're forced to move in between. I mean, some elephants will migrate 100 or 200 kilometers, at a time. When I say that, they may go from one area and down to another area and be there for a month or two, then back. And it's been recorded on some that they've managed to collar. I mean, overnight they can go 100 kilometers. I mean, it's just,
wow.
yeah, it can be like that. Some will stick around, but some have, who knows, for whatever reason, they have an agenda to go somewhere and do something.
So you just population pressure on the resource is probably Africa's um biggest fight essentially to save wildlife, right?
Well, there's certain areas that in this country specific where game ranches were taken away during the 2000 period where land acquisition took place, where you had a game ranch and now it became a cattle block, and there's several communities on there. So and this is some of the areas that I have to deal with, where an old existing property is now a community where you have
Hmm.
maybe 100 households or more. You've got several schools on there. Um, and then everybody's got goats or donkeys or cattle, and they do cropping. And then, that's just the animals that used to be there, whether it was impala or kudu or buffalo, they've since moved because,
Yeah.
either they've been poached or they've just moved because they had to move. So, yeah, it's just that we can't control that. We can't turn it back to a game ranch because where are the people going to go?
Yeah. Yeah.
So these areas, yeah, so these areas that used to have maybe a variety of animals are left with basically elephant. Some areas never had elephant before. Now there's elephant and predators, whether it's hyenas or leopards or lions, because the natural prey is no longer there. So you have that conflict: lions, hyenas killing domestic stock because there's no other
Yeah.
prey available. So that's the battle that we face.
Are the predators do they move around a lot too, or are they sedentary like Are they like elephants? They move around and
They move around. They do. They move around.
yeah.
They'll stick around in an area for a couple of weeks, maybe a month or so, and then depending on, if they get harassed or maybe, if someone comes and shoots one of them, they'll move over to the next community, and they'll just, carry on until either they're recaptured and relocated, or the council or the appropriate authority, they've done something about them and eradicated them.
Well, let's talk about that then. Let's talk about recapture, sort of, finding them, putting a dart in them, putting them to sleep and relocating them. Why can't you do the same thing for problem elephants, Wayne?
It's cost. At the end of the day, somebody has to finance that. Somebody has to pay a vet. Somebody has to have the equipment and the means to do that. I mean, there is a program that's taking place or had taken place. I don't know if it's still continuing. It might be in the SUWC Valley, where they were capturing live elephant and moving them to another area in the Zambezi Valley. It's a very costly experience. You got helicopters involved. You got 18-wheeler trucks involved. You got bulldozers pushing, trees down to get into where the elephant falls when it's darted. You got several vets on the ground and volunteers. It is a big, big project. It doesn't, and somebody has to pay for it. At the end of the day, it's cost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's cost and timing, I would think, right? Because I would assume you probably get contacted by the village. Talk us through that. Maybe that's a good way to sort of give us the reality on the ground. How do you go about dealing with a problem elephant in terms of, and the timing associated with it? Are you called tomorrow? Like, you get a call today. Do you have a client lined up in 2 months' time to deal with that problem elephant? How does that work?
No, so the problem elephant, I deal with myself. It's not legal to take a client in to do a PAC. So when I'm available and it comes to my attention that there is a problem elephant to be taken care of, I will deal with it myself, or I'll take someone in the industry, whether he's a learner hunter or a learner guide, for experience, and I'll have them come and help me and assist me and get some kind of experience for the examinations. And what happens is PAC is conducted primarily in crops that have been affected, raided by elephants. So there could be 1 or 20 elephants at a time in those crops. And it's not an every night situation, but sometimes it can be. So you might spend 3 days waiting for the elephants to return to that crop. But we take care of that elephant in the crop, so that, the other elephant around him will get the message, so to speak, and then they leave that part of the, that area for some months, or maybe the rest of the year. They don't come back there. They may move to another area. But generally speaking, it does work. It does help. I mean, there's guys there that, that will say pepper spray them or shoot them with pepper bullets, or, bear bangers, or, all those kind of ideas. But it doesn't really work at the end of the day. And these places that have got these crops, they've got barriers around their fields made out of thorns and brush. They don't have the means put a big, strong electric cable and fence and spotlights like a commercial farmer might and have to do. In these areas, these people live off the land, so they do the best they can with brush at their disposal to make a barrier. An elephant just walks through that brush. They build fires.
In the video, though, it sounded like it was a problem elephant that you took. And was it just fortuitous that you had a client in camp to be able to take that elephant?
Yeah, so in that regard, I didn't shoot that elephant in the crop. This particular property was getting affected by elephants raiding. So we went and visited the crop. We found where the crops were being damaged. We picked up their tracks from there, and we followed these 3 individual elephants. And they'd been coming there for like 5 days in a row, been raiding and destroying these crops. And then I had a client that was paying for a trophy bull, which comes off a quota for that particular property. So we tracked it in the daytime, found where they were hiding up, and we took care of the 1 elephant. And the other 2 left the area the next day. They weren't, 2 to this day, I haven't had a report of elephants raiding those crops. So that was a good thing. Villagers are happy. The client is happy. And, the animal, was paid for, revenue was generated from it, and they're going to use it.
I think people just they just don't have an idea when it comes to the reality on the ground. People, again, even though we've explained it earlier in the podcast, people are hearing you say, well, I had a client come in, kill an elephant. I also deal with problem elephants in villages. They're like, man, this guy must be dozens of elephants that are taken care of in these areas. Man, this is an endangered species, Wayne. Like, we should be thinking more and more and more about the population, but the population is growing by, 4 or 5 times in terms of its growth rate a year to the amount of elephants being taken through problem control and through hunting.
Yeah, look, I mean, I don't know what the actual figure is, but there's talk that it's between 80 and 140,000 elephant in the country. So, and some of these elephants obviously migratory from Botswana to Zimbabwe. But I mean, even if you had to round it off to 100,000, that's probably 60,000 more than the carrying capacity that this country, should have. Our offtake, when I say our offtake, our hunted quota for the whole country is 500.
Wow.
So I don't even think we shoot 500 every year, to be honest with you. But
do you shoot all of your quota every year?
No, I don't.
Oh. Have you ever had a year where you've shot all your quota?
Very close, but not every year.
So 500 elephants of 100,000 is 0.05%.
Oh, there you go.
Of the population. And I think best guess ecologists and biologists say that elephants grow at about 7% a year.
Well, I'm just saying, we just rounding it off because we don't know the exact figure.
Oh yeah, even if you did half, like if someone said 50,000 elephants are in Zimbabwe, so let's do that. 500 divided by 50. 500 divided by 50,000. That's 0.1%.
Yeah. So then you could probably, I don't know how many other elephants are taken as problem animal, but it's not near that many. And then there are elephants that are taken for management purposes in the different, like national parks, for instance, and maybe forestry, where they have a big number of people that work for those different government departments. So they do harvest elephant as a means to feed their people. So I don't know what the number is that they take every year, but yeah, elephants are important to them because it's a way of protein resource that they get out of them.
Isn't that a better way to look at elephants? I know it's so difficult to sort of wrap your mind around it, but being the charismatic megafauna that an elephant is, and Dumbo and Disney and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, people need food, people need protein, and primarily that protein sources come from cattle.
Yeah.
Okay, beef. But elephants there's a lot of them. They could be sustainably taken, and the harvest, not the right term, but the amount of meat that comes off an animal in comparison to a cow, it's too early in the morning. A cow.
Yeah.
There's something to be said there.
No, it is definitely. So, I mean, it's been going on ever since I know, that elephants have been utilized in these departments for a protein, resource. So it does happen, but you can't farm elephant like cattle for obvious reasons.
Obviously. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's an interesting scenario, man, and obviously it's it's difficult to put yourselves in the shoes of those people that live on the ground.
I tell you what, it's not an easy life. These people that live in these communities, for a better word, they're very poor for the most part. Some of them may have jobs in the urban centers and maybe even in South Africa, but they send money home. But those that live on the ground there, the children that go to school there, they live from hand to mouth. That is the fact. I mean, everything that they grow there, they utilize themselves or they barter with it. They have a marginal amount of livestock for themselves: chickens, goats, cattle. I mean, they live in mud huts with, straw roofs for the most part. So, they haven't, they've got no luxury, so to speak. And look, I mean, it's not an easy life. And then they still got to tolerate and deal with wild animals, on their doorstep, which they do to the best of their knowledge and ability. But, it's just, that's the way of life. It's Africa.
Wayne, you've been working in these RDCs for 15 years, 20 years. Is there anybody else, and when I say anybody else, any other organizations that are in these RDCs providing, let's specifically ask, employment opportunities?
Look, I know that mines in the area, in some parts, there are mines which will employ some of the, the men or maybe even some women to work for them, but then they have to travel distances between and in between. There may be at times certain projects, whether it's building of a school or a clinic, where builders and maybe experienced craftsmen might be involved. There are some not natural, there are some NGOs, non-government organizations, but they don't actually employ people, so to speak. They may have a project that they do, through funding from wherever they've come from, whether it's America, Canada, or New Zealand. They may put a school together or a clinic or something like that. They might do that.
So you have seen some non-governmental organizations that may be, anti-hunters most often, Christian organizations in these areas investing in them.
I wouldn't really know if they're anti-hunters. I think that the ones that I know about that have come across, they understand hunting, and some of them even have hunted themselves, back home, or even have the opportunity to do some hunting, in the country. Maybe not in that particular area, but they may, take a week and go somewhere and do it. So, but I can't talk for everybody. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's not what maybe I should have couched it a little bit differently. You're not seeing the PETAs of the world, the humane societies of the world, the WWFs of the world,
No.
and WWF is actually pro-hunting. WCS of the world in these areas with you, right? More often than not, it's probably Christian-based NGOs coming in and helping people.
Yes. Yeah. That is more than you don't see protesters, put it that way, of anti-hunting background.
Well, not protesters, but just people saying, "Hey," I'm just saying it. I don't think I've ever heard, and getting confirmation from the ground from you of the RDCs that you're working in, these organizations that have quote unquote, are against hunting, are against the practice, are against the things that it does, coming into these communities to quote unquote replace the value that hunting's bringing to these communities.
No, sure. That we don't hear of it at all. It's not part of their vocabulary. They never mention they're anti-hunting. I've never heard of it in any of these RDCs at all, that they want to stop hunting. They want to educate people about the value of animals, and the whole purpose of, if it's got a value, then we tend to look after it, and that's the concept that we try and teach the people there. That if it pays, it stays. In a nutshell.
But you've never seen a humane society. I guess what I'm trying to get at is there's a big talk across the world from these organizations about we don't like hunting, yet we do not see them step up in the areas that you work in and come in and say, we're going to supplement employment, or we're going to provide jobs, we're going to provide schools, we're going to provide clinics.
Well, yeah, we haven't seen anybody raise their hand and say, we will compensate you for the loss of your crops or your livestock and, cover all your needs, what hunting would have otherwise have covered. We haven't had anybody volunteer for that or any organization volunteer for that in these particular communities. They may do it in smaller areas, in a national park or something like that. But where these communities are benefiting from hunting, there hasn't been any anti-hunting organization that's come there and said, we're going to, take care of your clinic, schools, whatever the case might be, and create employment where we need to, or match what the hunters are doing as far as benefiting the area. I haven't seen it in these areas yet.
And you've been in these areas for how long again?
Yeah, 15 years.
15 years, 20 years. Well, Wayne, I very much appreciate you jumping on. I know you're a very busy man. Have you started hunting already?
I have. I started in the beginning of March, and I will continue right through until the end of November.
Amazing. It's good to see you guys back hunting and busy and back stuck in the midst of obviously, doing what you love, helping these people, helping communities, and obviously, having a thriving business from it. So I appreciate the time that you spent with me. Thank you for allowing me to, well, number one, thank you for, I don't even know if you knew that Lance sent me all those videos. And then two, allowing me to help you put it together. I just want to say thank you, Wayne. I know that I am someone who came out of nowhere, got to know you via videos that I don't even know if you knew that Lance had sent me the videos or not. Yeah, I appreciate you saying yes.
No, look, I appreciate it, and I mean, I just do what I can. I mean, I do it because I need to do it for a living, but I also do it, because I understand what's required. I'd rather see it done correctly than people doing it incorrectly, as far as just shooting these animals for no reward at all, just because it's a problem animal or considered one. For years, I've been telling people that, these animals have a value and we mustn't just shoot them. Doesn't matter if it's an elephant or a baboon we can't just kill animals for nothing. I know sometimes it needs to be done, but if we can make that animal, if we're going to take that animal's life, at least let it try and benefit the area or even its own species, by dying, whether it's we create a job for an anti-poacher in the area, or we do something in the area that benefits not just the people but also the animals themselves. And that's what everybody tries to do in their own capacity. I mean, I'm just a very small fish in this whole industry, but I do what I can, and I don't, I'm not a very how can I say it? My pricing for these hunts is very, very marginal. So even though I'm busy, there's a reason for it. People want to come out there and experience what I'm doing.
Well, hopefully one day I get to shake your hand in person. I'm certainly I love the place that you operate in. I love the interaction with all the people. And most importantly, I love the reality of the situation.
Well, you're welcome. You're welcome. If you come and you're in town, let us know.
Yeah, we'll do it. If there's anything, Wayne, if there's anything I can do for you and Blood Origins can do for you, please don't hesitate to reach out. That's what we were built for. We were built, as I told you, on the side of the Spanish Mountain. I built this to tell the truth of who we are and what we do. So if there's anything I can do, please let me know.
Thank you very much. I will definitely take that opportunity if it comes and let you know.
Thanks, Wayne.
Thanks very much.
Well, that's it for today. Appreciate you listening. As always, leave a review, share it with your friends, and most importantly, do what's right to convey the truth around hunting.